Assalamu alaikum and good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to present this paper titled Reframing Communication Skills, Education in TVET, Integrating Hadith-Informed Epistemic Principles to Address AI Dependency. This is a conceptual paper that sits at the intersection of communication skills, education, assessment validity, artificial intelligence, and Islamic epistemology, specifically within TVET contexts. The paper does not argue against AI as a tool. Instead, it asks a more fundamental question. What exactly are we assessing when we assess communication skills, especially in AI-mediated learning environments? And more importantly, what kind of communicators are we producing for high-stakes vocational and workplace contexts? Communication skills have consistently been identified as a critical weakness among TVET graduates, both locally and internationally. Employers often report that graduates may possess acceptable technical skills, yet struggle to explain procedures, justify decisions, or communicate clearly in interviews and workplace interactions. In TVET, this issue is particularly serious because communication is not merely expressive or academic. It is procedural and consequential. Miscommunication can affect safety, service quality, workflow, and professional accountability. As a result, weak communication competence contributes not only to graduate unemployment, but also to limited career progression, even among those who are employed. The situation has become more complex with the rapid adoption of generative AI tools. In many TVET classrooms, students now rely on AI to generate reports, presentation scripts, and even spoken responses. These outputs often sound fluent and professional, yet they may not reflect genuine understanding. This creates a condition known as automation bias, where AI-generated content is trusted uncritically simply because it sounds authoritative. As a result, assessments may reward polished output rather than actual communicative competence, leading to score inflation without corresponding skill development. Many institutional responses to AI focus on detection tools, prohibitions, or authorship declarations. While these measures may address academic integrity at a surface level, they do not resolve the deeper issue. Most communication rubrics still prioritize delivery, organization, and language accuracy, while leaving knowledge responsibility implicit. In TVET contexts, where communication informs action and decision-making, this is inadequate. The key issue is not simply who wrote the text, but who is accountable for the meaning and consequences of what is communicated. The central argument of this paper is that AI-related challenges in TVET communication are epistemic rather than technological. AI exposes weaknesses that already existed, an over-reliance on surface performance and an under-emphasis on responsible knowledge use. Communication competence, especially in vocational education, must include the ability to trace sources, verify information, ensure accuracy, and take responsibility for what is communicated. This paper proposes that these dimensions can be systematically addressed through Hadith-informed epistemic principles. Hadith methodology developed as a rigorous system to ensure the reliability of transmitted knowledge. This paper draws on 5 foundational principles: sanad, matan, tabayun, sidq, and amanah. While these principles originate in Islamic scholarship, the paper argues that they can be reconceptualized as transferable epistemic practices. Importantly, the aim is not to turn TVET communication into religious instruction, but to leverage a long-standing epistemic tradition that addresses exactly the problem we now face. how to ensure responsible communication when fluent language can be produced without understanding. When translated into TVET communication education, these principles become very practical. Sanad requires students to make their sources and information pathways visible. Matan prioritizes clarity, coherence, and relevance to context, rather than stylistic polish. Tabayun embeds verification directly into the communicative act, requiring students to explain how information was checked. CDQ foregrounds accuracy, and Amana frames communication as a responsibility with real consequences. Together, these principles shift assessment away from rehearsed fluency and towards accountable meaning-making. TVET students are often described as lacking confidence, particularly in oral communication. This framework suggests that hesitation often reflects epistemic insecurity, not personal weakness. When students are unsure about the accuracy or legitimacy of what they are saying, reliance on scripts or AI becomes a coping strategy. By contrast, when learners can trace sources, verify information, and justify claims, confidence becomes grounded in understanding rather than performance. The framework aligns closely with established theories of communication and assessment. Sanad strengthens ethos through credibility and traceability. Matan and CDQ support logos through coherence and accuracy. Amana reinforces trust and ethical responsibility, aligning with pathos in relational terms. Crucially, Hadith methodology extends these theories by making accountability for knowledge claims explicit, which is essential in AI-mediated contexts. For TVET education, this framework suggests a shift from performance-driven assessment to responsibility-driven assessment. Tasks and rubrics can explicitly require provenance, verification, coherence, accuracy, and accountability. This reduces construct underrepresentation and limits uncritical AI use without banning AI altogether. AI may still be used as a support tool, but the core competencies being assessed remain human judgment and responsibility. In conclusion, this paper argues that AI has revealed fundamental weaknesses in how communication competence is conceptualized and assessed in TVET. By reframing communication as responsible knowledge stewardship and grounding it in Hadith-informed epistemic principles and Tawhidic epistemology, the framework offers a rigorous, culturally meaningful, and assessment-ready response. Ultimately, the goal is not simply employability, but the development of communicators who can stand ethically and epistemically behind their words. Thank you.